Hi there, welcome back to Nico Talks Hockey. Today we'll be covering our top 20 centers in the entire NHL. The center position, in my opinion, like if you're a 1C, I think that is the most important position to get right in order to be a Stanley Cup winning team. So it is the hardest position in my opinion. I know that goalie is, you could definitely make the argument that goaltending is the hardest position, but I think that the most important, the most pivotal is being a number one center. So these players are very, very, very good. Like I've said in all my other ranking videos, I'll be ranking on a 3-year sample size, not just this past season. This past season holds the most weight in regards to all the the ranking, but the past three seasons, will be regarded as what makes this player good. So without further ado, let's get right into it. At number 20, I have Bo Horvat of the New York Islanders. Bo Horvat just made this list, but I think he still deserves it. He plays such a well-rounded game, and he is a gamer when it comes to playoffs. He's going to perform. Now, that doesn't really help the New York Islanders. I don't think they're that close to playoffs, at least, in the next 1 to 2 to 3 years. But they're going, obviously through a bit of a retool. But it doesn't change the fact that Bo Horvat is an awesome center, and he's worthy of being a number one center in the NHL. Moving on to number 19, I have Roope Hintz of the Dallas Stars. Now, some of these players, like Roope Hintz, Bo Horvat, and a couple of the next few players I'm going to mention, I do consider them all number one centers, like on their respective teams. But, as the list goes on, it's going to be more solidified. Like, oh yeah, they're definitely a number one center instead of like a low-end number one center. I think I may consider Roope Hintz to be like a low-end 1C. He's still awesome. He's still like one of the most like top 5 most consistent players. You know what you're getting like every year. Like it's like the points per average he gets per year, it like doesn't change. So it is very impressive from Roope Hintz. Plays an awesome defensive game as well. It was really sad to see him get injured for the Stars this past playoffs in round 3. It really kind of just derailed the whole, all the Stars' momentum and their whole game because he just plays such a pivotal role to their team. Moving on to number 18, I have Mark Scheifele of the Winnipeg Jets. He had an awesome season, cooled off just a little bit towards the end. He should make the Olympic roster. Yeah, he's so great. He's really balanced in terms of like point production. Like it's not just goals, it's not just assists. It's a nice healthy balance of the two. His defense is not bad. So I take that into account. Like it's not bad, so I don't dock him too much there. He's kind of your prototype when you're looking for just a 1C. He's it. He's just a great textbook definition of like your number one center. Moving on to number 17, a player I really like is Nick Suzuki from the Montreal Canadiens. Had an awesome season, is kind of making everyone turn their heads and recognize how great he is, because the point production is finally coming along with all of his, the points aren't everything, right? So all of what makes him such a great player, his defensive, his play away from the puck, this is a bit of intangibles, but his leadership abilities, and he's doing it all at such a young age. Reminds me of a young Sidney Crosby or young Jonathan Toews. So yeah, super impressed by Nick Suzuki. I think it's only up from here for him. Moving to number 16 of the top 20 centers in the NHL, I have Tage Thompson. Tage Thompson, I really like Tage Thompson. I'm just sad he's on Buffalo because it's not like I want him to go away from Buffalo. I just want Buffalo to be good for him because I think he deserves it. I love Tage's game. I love that he's big and He uses his size, but he's also so soft with the puck, and I mean that in like a good way. He's like, he's silky. He's silky with the puck. He makes goals look like art. Um, so yeah, I wanted him on the Four Nations roster. I really hope he's on the Olympic roster because I think he deserves to be. I think that US will be a lot better of a team if Tage Thompson is on their roster. Going on to number 15, I have Tim Stützle of the Ottawa Senators. It was almost the reverse. I almost had Tage ahead of Tim, but I think Stützle is the better player just by a little. He's another player who's also just like gonna keep going up and up. He's the best player of the 2020 draft. I don't think that's too crazy of a statement to say. He should have got number 1. Timmy Stu, although I know that some people have problems with his diving game, that's definitely an element that could be criticized of his game. But in terms of his ability to play, he's sometimes it looks like he's like playing a video game. Like the kind of goals he scores is just like cheat code stuff. Moving on to number 14, I have JT Miller. I almost said the Vancouver Canucks, of the New York Rangers. Whether or not you're a fan of his passion he brings to the teams he's on and to the games he plays, JT Miller is so good. When he's on, he is like genuinely unstoppable. He's just such a beast on the ice. Now, the problem why I don't have him a little higher is because when he's off, it's very noticeable. Looks like he'd rather be anywhere else. He like gives up defensively. He like just gives up. So if he just cared like closer to 100% of the time, he'd be top 10. He would be. But I have to put him at number 14. At number 13, maybe the most underrated player in the league, Robert Thomas of the St. Louis Blues. Robert Thomas deserves his flowers. He got a little bit of it, 2 seasons ago when he was going to the All-Stars. I think maybe why people don't have him ranked justly is they look at his points and like, okay, there's a lot of points, but it's mostly assists, so he's not that good. That couldn't be further from the truth. He's great. He's a playmaking king. He reminds me of just like a lower end Barkov, someone who is always making the right play. Is not selfish at all with the puck. That's why he probably has less goals than maybe some people might expect him to have. But no, Robert Thomas is one of the best centers in the entire game. At number 12, I have Nico Hischier, personally one of my favorite players as well. The name, it has to be. Nico Hischier, I love his defensive game. I just wish he wasn't injured as much as he is. He tends to be injured a lot. And is one of the problems of the Devils, right? Their best 3 players, Hischier, Jack Hughes, and Hamilton, they all have their own injury problems. So it's definitely something that the Devils are going to have to figure out. But when Nico Hischier is playing, he is a Selke candidate, at least in my opinion. He's just near perfect on the defensive side of the game. And then offensively, yeah, I mean, maybe it's a little fluctuating. He's not maybe the most consistent, but yeah, like he goes on these hot streaks, and when he's on these hot streaks, he's scoring left and right while also shutting you down and stopping you from scoring anything. Moving on to the last player before our top 10 centers in the entire NHL. This is a player I'm very high on, and I'm higher on, I guess, than most. I have Dylan Larkin. I look at his advanced analytics, and I also look at how he elevates everyone who plays on his line. It doesn't matter what kind of caliber players he has on his line. He could have players who are rookies. He could have players that have been in the league for forever. He could have players that are high end or maybe middle to low end. He makes them better. He is, I know a Chicago homer, but he reminds me of like Jonathan Toews in that regard. I always remember that Jonathan Toews made everyone on his line better. He just has that ability. And I don't know if every really good player has that ability. Sometimes they're just really good, but some players are good on their lines, but sometimes it's not always a fit. I feel like with Larkin, it's always a fit. I'm really high on Larkin. I know that some people have him as like more of a, I've seen some takes say that he's more of a 2C, more of a 2 second line center than a first line center. I completely disagree. I think that he is a clear-cut number 1 center in the NHL, and he comes in at number 11 for me. Moving into our top 10, these are our top 10 centers in the entire world. Number 10, a player that never gets enough credit as much as he should, but I think he doesn't really care because he's got 2 Stanley Cups to his name. It's Brayden Point of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Brayden Point is such a phenomenal player. He's like a coach's dream. I'm sure John Cooper, maybe he's like John Cooper's favorite player. I don't think that fans appreciate him enough. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just he lacks the flash element to his game. But he's so responsible. He's responsible offensively and defensively. There's not. I could go on. Brayden Point. I respect him as a player so very much for what he's been able to do. It's not like he's fallen off after the Cups. He's still Brayden Point. Moving on, a player I really like and a player that I will die on this hill that he deserves to be here, not any lower, Sebastian Aho of the Carolina Hurricanes. The Carolina Hurricanes without Sebastian Aho are like a fringe playoff team, in my opinion. Aho is their offense. He creates, the offense goes through him. And I don't think people acknowledge that enough. Yeah, he's not like hitting, 100 points every season, but that's because what he does when he's not getting those points is like everything else. He's another person who's just awesome defensively, like Barkov, like Heischer. He's so great, and he's also clutch. Like, he's Mr. Clutch. In the playoffs, if you're gonna gamble and you're saying, okay, anytime goal from who? Put Sebastian Aho if he's one of the players playing in that game. Moving on to number 8. This may make some people upset because maybe they want him a little higher, but I think it's fair. I still have him 8th best in the entire NHL. It's Sidney Crosby of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Sidney Crosby at this age, I have nothing but respect for him. He's still, he just set the record for most seasons in a row of being at a point per game or higher. It's just otherworldly stuff. He's a mutant. Sidney Crosby he's still kicking. He's still doing awesome, just like his partner in crime, Alex Ovechkin. So I don't have him higher because I think that, he's not hitting the point totals he used to. It's been a while since we've seen the playoffs. I don't blame that on him, just to be clear. And his defensive game has taken a little bit of a hit. Just the analytics would show that. But I think still he's a top 8 center. He's one of the best in the game still. Moving to number 7, a player I wish I could rank higher. My brother's favorite player in the entire league, Jack Hughes of the New Jersey Devils. He should be a top 5 center. He should be a no doubt top 10 player in the league, overall. But it's injuries. It's the injuries. He has too many. He's got that shoulder problem. When he's healthy, if he stayed healthy, he'd be getting, 110 points every season, tons of goals, tons of assists, your number 1 center. So if he can figure out a way, I don't know how, but just to beat that injury bug, the Devils are going far. I can tell you that. Moving into our top 6, one away from our top 5 centers. At number 6, This just goes to show you how many like superstar centers are in this league, that he's this low. Jack Eichel comes in at number 6 of the Vegas Golden Knights. Jack Eichel, I wanted things to work out so badly in Buffalo, but we all know the story of the surgery that they didn't allow him to get. Goes to Vegas and like instantly wins a cup. And I don't think they win it without him. He is the best player in Vegas. When I'm watching Vegas games, I can't wait to until Eichel's back on the ice. Like, I remember being at the gym one time and there was a Vegas Stars game going on, and whenever he was on the ice, I was just my eyes were back on the screen because he just controlled plays so well. He brings people in, and then he's able to perfectly dish it off to Mark Stone or whoever's waiting for him, or he brings people in and then just goes around him and finds a spot that shouldn't be there, but he finds the spot. So yeah, Jack Eichel. There's nothing much more to say than that. He is a elite superstar center, and yeah, I get it. He went second to Connor McDavid, but at the end of the day, that's not a diss. He's got a cup. He's got a cup before McDavid, right? At number 5, my favorite, personally my favorite player in the entire league, it's Alexander Barkov of the Florida Panthers. I've said it before. I've talked about Barkov here on this channel before, but I'll say it again. I love Barkov because he is, in my opinion, the most complete player in the league. He does everything well, like everything, every aspect of being a hockey player. He's a great leader on and off the ice. He's, his points speak for themselves. He misses like a handful of games every year, but is always, of a point per game. He's a beast at face-offs. His shootouts are insane. He's like one of the best shootout players in the whole league. Defensively, there's a reason he keeps winning the Selke. He's like the next Bergeron. There's a reason he's a back-to-back Stanley Cup champion. And there's a reason that Kachuk and Reinhart and Verhaeghe and everyone who's ever played with Barkov, even on, like Team Finland, they say that, yeah, he's like the best player I've ever played with. Because, it's like McDavid and Barkov, some players say, because he thinks the game at such a unbelievable level, and he sees the ice like very, very few can. Moving on to number 4, just barely above, I do have Austin Matthews of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, some people might point to that and say, hey, why does Matthews deserve to be this high? He does not show up when it matters in the playoffs, and that's what should count the most, right? Yeah, and that's why he's not top 3 anymore. If I made this list last year, he would have been. He just freshly coming off a near 70 goal season. But you have to count in the playoffs. What he's so great at is being like just such a well-rounded player. He's a center who is great at face-offs, scores, anywhere from 50 to 70 goals per season. I know he dealt with a little bit of injury this season, but I don't expect that to be a thing that really is strong going forward. So I expect him to go back to his insane goal-scoring ways. He's the best goal scorer currently. I'm not saying all time, like I know that Ovechkin's the greatest goal scorer of all time, but right now, I would say he's the best goal scorer in the game. And defensively, he's not praised enough for his defensive contributions. He can absolutely shut you down. He'll, if the coach employs him on the right lines, he can shut down the best of the best. He was shutting down Barkov's line for a little bit there in that second round. So yeah, if he just, I don't know, maybe with Marner gone now, maybe the mix, the mix will be different. So maybe his mental will be different, and maybe he starts producing in the playoffs, which will definitely boost him up those rankings. Moving into our top three centers, and these are three of the top 5 players, without any spoilers, top 7 maybe, players in the entire world, including defensemen, goalies, all of it, all players. They're just 3 of the best. At number 3, I have Leon Draisaitl. I count him as a center. I didn't count him as a wing. Leon Draisaitl, what's there to say that hasn't been said? He's one of the greatest goal scorers in the game. I think there's enough of a sample size. Like, I still see this take that, like, oh no, but he's kind of a McDavid merchant. No, he's not. No, he's not. He absolutely can perform on his own line, carry his own line. But then when you put him and McDavid together, you've created a genuine superpower. He's so good at hockey. He's an insane playoff performer. The Oilers are so lucky that they've got 2 of the very, very best players in the entire world. But our top 2, which way does it fall? Connor McDavid, Nathan MacKinnon. Who gets number 1 spot? It's Connor McDavid. At number 2 is Nathan MacKinnon. Now, I'm not saying it's not getting closer. Like, MacKinnon is so good. Regular season and playoffs. Like, it's not like he ever even takes a back seat during the regular season. Like, McDavid recently, at least, has shown that he's okay with sacrificing a little bit of those point totals in the regular season if it means he's ready to go for the playoffs. He's at a point where he's okay to do that. But McKinnon's like, no. I'm a steam train. I'm going to keep going. He's so much fun to watch. He's got something that McDavid doesn't really have, which is like that power. Like, he's got this, he's a tank. He'll push you over while he's going, like McDavid will deke you around you. But MacKinnon just plows through you. So I think that MacKinnon is an otherworldly alien when it comes to the NHL. But the best player in the world is Connor McDavid. That's it. Connor McDavid is the best player in the world. He's the best player in the NHL. He's the best hockey player probably that's ever played the game. When you talk about greatness, it's Gretzky. Gretzky's the best player ever. But in terms of most skilled, most talented, I think you have to say it's Connor McDavid. He's the stuff he does on the ice, the skill that he has, the speed that he brings, and the way that he thinks the game at a speed that's even faster than the way his legs move on the ice. It all adds up to him being the best of the best. So that's my list. That is my top 20 centers in the entire NHL right now. Let me know what you think. Tell me in the comments. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm sure this will cause a little bit of a stir. These rankings always do, but I love it. It's good fun to debate and to argue which players are the best. Let me know if there's players that maybe I missed. Matt Barzal just missed the list. I would have had him somewhere in the early 20s, but I decided that I like Bo Horvat's complete game over him. But anyway, again, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you could like and subscribe, that would mean so much to me. And I will see you guys in the next video.